Okay, so copyright and sampling in 15 minutes flat, no problem. Thank you, Ableton, for letting me be here and speak about a topic that's really near and dear to my heart. I'm Abid Hussain. I'm an attorney. I've been a practicing attorney, corporate lawyer for about 13 years, and I work with early stage tech and startup companies. And as a result of my practice, I work with a lot of copyright, trademark related issues. I've also been a certified trainer for 7 years, and I teach a lot of students where I have to answer copyright and sampling questions, and oftentimes I have to disappoint them, and I might be disappointing a lot of you with my answers because I have to speak as a lawyer and I have to speak as an artist. I've also been an alt-rock and EDM producer for 25 years. I know you're thinking that that means I must have started at the age of 4. I did. Just did. Okay. So I've been an audio nerd for a long time, and as a result of my intersection between music and law, I've actually been an expert in some copyright cases, so I'm going to talk through some of those issues. So what are we going to do today? Well, I have tension, right? I have tension as an artist, and I have tension as a lawyer. And I want to speak through some of those issues, but I'm also going to talk about what's going on with federal courts in the United States. And I'm only going to speak about copyright law in the US, because I imagine the issues are similar in Europe or across the world, but right now, in the US, we have tension in the courts as well. I'm going to demo a piece of music that is both blatant infringement as well as possibly protected. And I hope that you'll walk away both informed and confused, because that's where we are right now in the state of copyright. So let's jump right into it. By the way, I'm going to keep things pretty high level, so if there's another lawyer in the room or if somebody knows more about this than I do, that's totally cool. We can talk about it afterwards. But for the sake of time, because this could easily be a 5-hour lecture, we'll keep things pretty high level. So let's talk through the baseline. 2005, Sixth Circuit case, Bridgeport versus Dimension Films, that says sampling is never allowed. Okay? So at that point, you know, the law of the land was, and still is, that if you sample somebody else's work and you take it and put it into your own work, it is not allowed. Okay? So, you know, we get common questions like, oh, is it okay to sample 1 bar? No, it's not. Is it okay to sample, you know, 8 seconds or less? No, it's not. I don't know where all those things came from. The law of the land is that sampling is never allowed. If you do sample and somebody sues you and it's not authorized sampling, then what could happen is that there'd be a federal lawsuit, there would be a discovery request, they could then seize your hard drive, do forensics analysis on your files, and probably find infringement, and then hit you with a large fine or a large judgment. So this is what I have to do to scare people into saying, don't sample, right? Because that's me being a lawyer, case closed, right? Well, not exactly. What happens when you don't exactly sample, but you copy something, or you copy something a little bit, or you pay homage to something, or you're taking a style? Well, that's a pretty murky place right now, right? Because the standard is called substantial similarity. It is a side-by-side comparison between the original and the copy. And it is placed at the hands of ordinary people. So what happens is that a court will get a lawsuit, and they will assemble a jury of ordinary people, and then ordinary people will sit around and look at the 2 pieces of work, or music in this case, and they're going to judge whether there's substantial similarity. Now, I'm being overly simplified for the sake of time, but you know, there are plenty of other tests that go into it. For example, there's a pattern test. This is typically where experts come in and they discuss, you know, and argue their case. The case that I was hired on as an expert, I was representing a plaintiff who was suing a very well-known hip-hop artist. And my job was to take the pieces of music that my client thought was infringing, put it into live, extract the MIDI out of the song, and then create a pattern and make the argument that it was an infringement. Okay? So, what are the factors that ordinary people will look at and a court will direct a jury to do? Things like the hook, the phrasing, the rhythm, pitch, shift in cadence, verse-chorus analysis, the ending. Those are all factors that go into whether something is substantially similar. So we all know where this is going, right? Because the law of the land is the blurred lines case, right? And it's pretty funny that the blurred lines case blurred the lines even more. Because as a result of substantial similarity, the Robin Thicke and Pharrell both got hit with a $7.4 million judgment against them. Now, I personally think that this was a pretty chilling, it creates a pretty chilling effect on music as a whole. I mean, if you look at the song, if you listen to the song and what it apparently infringed, it creates a precedent which actually lowers the barrier. And I think that's a very difficult place for us as musicians and artists, right? Okay, so is there hope? Well, there is, because in 2013, the Second Circuit, that's the same year that the blurred lines judgment came out, in 2013, the Second Circuit heard this case called Carey versus Prince. And this decision actually expanded fair use, okay? So fair use, for those of you that don't know, is a concept under derivative works where certain things are allowed to be copied, okay? So things like criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, those kinds of things it's okay to copy them for those purposes, and you're not infringing on copyright rules, okay? So what they did was, in that case, they looked at, the defendant was taking the plaintiff's photographs. The plaintiff had photographed Rastafarians, and the defendant took those photographs and created collages and other artwork. And when the plaintiff sued, the Second Circuit said that the derivative work was so transformed that it was completely different from the original work. So what are the standards that they used? They looked at presentation, composition, scale, color palette. Was the media fundamentally different and new? And if they had created a fundamentally different aesthetic, and here's the kicker, the artwork did not usurp the market of the original, then it's fundamentally transformed, okay? So, let's recap real quick, high level, right? 1, don't ever do it, that's 2005. Then in 2013, right, if you're substantially similar, meaning it has the feel, and you have a terrible client like Robin Thicke who gets on the stand and says, yeah, we were listening to Marvin Gaye's music and we thought we'd write something like that, okay? Got it? All right, so if you have that situation and it's substantially similar, then you're in trouble, you gotta get it cleared. Or if you fundamentally change something completely, create something totally new and original that doesn't usurp the old market, right? Then it's considered transformed and protected. All right, everybody confused? Okay, so let me play you a couple of pieces. And here. All right, so I'm going to play you this piece. It's a pretty short song, and I can guarantee you that it is an infringement because every sound in this song came from a very well-known song. Okay, if you guys figure out what it is, shout out. Let me see if you actually recognize it. Okay, there you go. Anybody figure it out? Any guesses?
You too.
Madonna, okay, interesting.
You too.
All right. Okay, well, let's go through it. I'm going to kind of break it down for you, okay? And let's see if we can figure it out. So I'm going to start with Robert Heggedy's awesome granulator, because of course you can tell what a sample is when it's been grained, right? No, you can't tell what it is. All right, so that's the easy one. How about if I go into this pulse sound? This is going to be pretty evident, I think. Any ideas? All right, let me see if I can expand out the sample a little bit. No? All right, let me go to the bass sound, because that's the first note in the song. Right? No? Turn the filter off? All right, come on. No?
Oh, Uptown Funk.
Yellow?
Yeah. Okay. So, let me actually go ahead and play for you. Turn the filter back on. And I will play the song for you. Maybe you'll get it. And I'll even go to the spot where I took a lot of the samples from. Well, obviously the bass was from that first note. Okay, again. So I took that ooh part and I turned it into this. Okay. So the kick was from that song, the snare was from that song, the hats, the oohs, the bass line, all of it came from this one song. So, has there been transformation? I would argue absolutely there's transformation, right? Did anybody recognize it? We're all music nerds in here, right? We all think we have a pretty good idea about music, we have good ears. So, if you didn't recognize it, I think it's pretty well transformed, right? But where does that leave us? I'm not quite sure, so let me tell you one more song. This one might be a little bit easier. Anyone? What's that? Okay. No, it is not. I will play it for you in 2 seconds. Okay, here's the snare. That'll tell it. Ready? Ready? So from that to So, where does that leave us? Well, it leaves us 3 choices, right? So the first choice is what I tell everybody, abstain. Don't do it. Don't sample ever, right? Okay, that's ridiculous, right? Because we're all artists here and none of us are abstaining. We're all practicing unsafe sampling, right? Nobody's abstaining in this room, okay? So, we are in a, as Mark Ronson put it, a post-sampling world. We're all going to do it. So what does that do? That leaves us 2 not so great choices, right? On one hand, we've got a 2013 case that says that you've got to clear the sample, you've got to get it licensed, because if you're substantially similar, you're going to get sued and there's going to be a massive judgment against you. And that bar for substantial similarity, as in that Blurred Lines case, is lower. It's easier to get there. So that's problematic for us as artists, right? And on the other hand, you transform it. Now, let's talk about that for 2 seconds. I'm not I don't do hip hop music and I don't sample on a regular basis for the purpose of sampling, but as I understand the art form to be, sampling is kind of an homage to whatever you're taking from. You kind of want to have a nod to it. You kind of want to be able to recognize it, right? So there's tension there. If I transform it to the point that I just did, what's the point of sampling at all? Because it doesn't sound anything like it. So, I'm going to kind of end this with the same tension that I feel. There's tension between 2 courts in the United States, with the laws of the land also kind of tense. You can sort of do it, but you can't. There's tension that I have as an artist because I want to be able to do, I want to be able to take samples from YouTube and just simply, put it into a piece of music and put that out there without any repercussions, right? And I can tell you that, there's no way the two songs that I played you usurps the market for anybody. Not, certainly not Pharrell, certainly not Beyonce, right? No one's going to listen to these and go, oh, I want to get those instead of the original, right? But having said that, the point is that it leaves me in a place of this tension, and that's kind of where I have to leave all of you, because that's the law of the land at this point. So thank you for